Beastars Season 2, the new Netflix anime. This is gonna be a fun one since for Season 1, I dreaded the main character furry wolf. Foxes are better. I couldn't stand the dreadful opening. I gave it like a 5 on my anime list. I cringed at the awful CG. The bunny girl Haru, she just looks weird. And like Zootopia did it better. So what a fun way to start off this Beastars video. And a thank you to Keeps for returning as a sponsor. Keeps has my boys covered. Unfortunately, over 65% of guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time that they're 35. Hashtag cry time. Blame the sun above, blame your mama, blame your solo fun time. Blame your hats too. Except fortunately this stuff has been disproven. We all gotta know that family member or even best bud who's dealing with hair loss. Way too soon. And the good news is that you don't have to wait for it to happen to you. Keeps helps you stop hair loss before it's too late. Keeps gives you access to their scientific and affordable approach to treatments. They're up to 90% effective at reducing and stopping further hair loss. They actually offer the generic version of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products, which means this is proven stuff. Right now, Keeps is giving you awesome guys 50% off your order. The best thing is that you could order online without any hassle, which means avoiding that awkward setup and visit to your doctor for the prescription. Hallelujah! Got any questions? The Keeps doctor is available 24/7. So if you're ready to get proactive and prevent hair loss, just head over to keeps.com/foxandanime or click that link in the description to get 50% off your first order. Anyway, what is Beastars about? Beastars is pretty much like our world, except everyone is a freaking animal. Whether a dog, wolf, a cat. The main story here actually focuses on this high school. You got the quiet and timid wolf Legoshi that is slowly but surely falling for this bunny. For Beastars Season 1, you might have actually heard about this since it's been getting a lot of love over the years. When it came out, it was in Netflix jail, which is why it was up for almost getting Anime of the Year last year, 2020. Which for me at the time was a real shocker since I really wasn't a fan of the first season. Honestly, I really don't care if you hate an anime I liked or was over the moon for. But on the flip side, if there's an anime I dislike, and then that anime gets a lot of love and praise, that gets me curious. Like there's the ID Invaded anime, I dropped it after 3 episodes. For something more recent, let me just mention Odd Taxi. For the actual story setup, you have the carnivores versus the actual plant animals. On top of this, you do have an extra layer when you add in all of the various species. Naturally, this is a quick obvious parallel to the different groups of people within our own world. An additional layer you might want to toss in there are the different social standings. Or depending on your background, you could get a little bit more out of that too. And then toss in another layer with the craving of meat akin to sexual desire, or however you wish to interpret that. In the actual story, right at the beginning you have one of the drama club members that got eaten. Sorry buddy, I just needed lunch. Beastars Season 1 does have Legoshi and the other club members dealing and coming to terms with the passing of this member. At the same time, you have the other club member, Lewis, who's, let's just say, involved with the bunny girl too. All of this is layered nicely with so many overarching themes. Should bunnies stick with bunnies? Should herbivores stick with herbivores? Is it taboo for a bunny and wolf to be together? Especially when your instincts tell you to freaking run. Not to mention some other themes you do see, like self-hatred, Legoshi not exactly being a fan of being born a wolf. On the flip side, you have Lewis, who is clearly self-conscious. The dude puts up a strong front, but deep down inside, he does struggle with feeling inferior. Of course, this guy, along with the rest of the cast, have their own baggage. And this is really one of the shining, outstanding things of Beastars, giving you these complex, multi-layered characters. Legoshi is a wimpy wolf dude, but he is one that slowly but surely grows and develops. He's like that nerdy kid that hit the gym during the summer, and by the end he's kinda buff, but still has those traits of him being socially awkward, or sometimes outright dense. For Lewis, there's so much development from this guy being this arrogant asshole to eventually having to deal with the baggage in his closet. The development for these two, especially when they clash, since they're so different, it's really just chef's kiss. The third character with the most screen time here is Haru the bunny girl. Not only is she a bunny, but she's actually smaller than the other bunnies, which really just embodies a lot of female traits, good and bad. She is pretty straightforward, always says what's on her mind. Even out of the side characters that don't get a lot of screen time, you have Juno, the other wolf girl. She gets introduced being bullied, but easily goes on to become one of the inspiring figures at the school, especially from the drama club. You got Mr. Panda, the awesome buff old dude. This guy has his own philosophy with how to deal with those that eat meat. Perhaps one of the outstanding lines that comes out of the series is that I just happen to be born without the meat cravings. You got one of the lion mafia guys. Despite this guy obviously eating meat, you have the guy somehow relating to a freaking deer. Let me also just take a quick moment to praise the freaking voice actors. Legoshi especially, huge props. You totally buy this guy being so timid, so socially awkward, but also being able to put his foot down when needed. But you might be wondering, why did I originally dislike Beastars, now that I'm in freaking love with this anime? So here's a couple reasons I came up with. Perhaps I was unfairly comparing it to Zootopia. There are a ton of similar themes. It might have been my movie of the year when it came out. Another point of dislike might have been the CG 3D. I strongly recall not being a fan of the animal 3D look. But then rewatching season 1 Beastars recently, for some reason the anime didn't look weird to me. Until it did. So it might not be possible to actually display this on a YouTube video. I actually tried moving around to like 3 different spots here in Tokyo and realized this must be Netflix adjusting the quality on their terms. So I'm thinking perhaps this was it. Sorry to put the blame on Netflix, but the first time might have actually been Netflix that killed the quality, which does stand out more on CG anime. Next dislike, Legoshi. I do clearly recall not being a fan of this character, this wussy, timid character without a spine. But then rewatching it here, I'm like, damn, it's not one-to-one, but Legoshi definitely reminds me of traits I used to have. So maybe, just maybe, it was like looking in the mirror and not liking what was there. I don't know if this was a dislike, but for Haru, she really reminded me of this blonde roommate I used to have in college. Let's just say they shared one particular bunny trait. Could one of the reasons I disliked it just have been the binge effect? At the end of the year, most anime YouTubers are busy with their top anime of the year list. I was very likely binging this and like 10 other anime just to finish up and round out my list. I still honestly prefer watching this stuff weekly. For an issue I think hardcore Beastar fans can agree with me on this, is just the manga stuff cut. Unfortunately, this is unavoidable for anime. Going back to read the season 1 manga chapters, I noticed it largely fixed a lot of the issues I previously had. For example, like a student was just killed, the manga does point out there's actual passage of time. In the anime, it just makes it feel like the drama club and everyone else goes back to business as usual on the same day, after a freaking student got murdered. Like, is this just common? I think the manga even included this emergency alert. Another issue I do recall is just the Netflix subs. Fast forward years later, I'm living in Japan, no Japanese, or at least my Japanese has improved greatly. Thankfully, I don't need to rely on whatever poor quality Netflix offers for subtitles, which sometimes are wrong or just miss info that's there. But anyway, let me get back to praising Beastars, and especially Beastars Season 2. It is so pleasantly surprising how far Beastars takes its main characters and the story in only 24 episodes. There's other anime with twice the length, 100 episodes, that haven't done that much. For Beastars, Lewis and Legoshi truly are the stars of this series. They are rich, complex characters that keep on developing, even to the final episode. One of the things I noticed on the rewatch is that every little piece of info dropped does come back into play. This includes very subtle actions. From Beastars Season 2, there's 2 scenes that really stood out and got me. The first involves Legoshi as he's going through his meditation and meat training. Picture this, a wolf going to bury his meal instead of having a midnight snack. The imagery combined with Legoshi really just going over who these people were, I don't know, I found it really touching. It wasn't outright cry time, but it really got to me. The second standout from Season 2 is Episode 8. You got the cheetah and the lamb having a girl's time out. It initially starts with both of the characters having issues with the other, not being open about it, and eventually realizing that the other isn't all perfect. Hey, go figure, the other person is dealing with their own baggage deep down. It was such an excellent way to flesh out the side characters. It was short but sweet. For the action scenes in Beastars, this isn't really what you would consider an anime filled with tons of action and fighting, but there is some. For 3D scenes, they are actually choreographed pretty well. Getting onto a fun topic, the furry stuff. For hopefully obvious reasons, Beastars does have the furry label. It does suck to say, but I have seen people claim this as being one of the reasons they are highly and just going out of their way to avoid it. It reminds me of anime people avoiding Zombieland because it's idol stuff, or not even giving Vivy a chance thinking it's an idol anime. If you aren't watching Beastars for that reason, I would highly recommend putting that aside. Just treat this as an anime that happens to have characters that are animals. And if you are a furry, this might be like the Bible for you. You got the cute wolf girl, the bunny girl, the cheetah, all the guys shirtless, shaving. If you're into shipping in general, there's a lot of teases if you're into that. Fun fact about this, I was actually asked if I wanted to talk about Beastars for something, cause the guy thought I was a huge ass furry. I was like, huh? Oh, the fox. I guess Legoshi isn't the only dense bastard. For the manga, how does the anime compare? Keep in mind, I've only read the season 1 stuff. At least at the very beginning, the Beastars anime does give me flashbacks of a light novel anime, where we have character thoughts cut out, some world building details not in the anime. Unfortunately, it seems like Haru suffers the most from this. But other than that, the manga art at the beginning looks pretty rough. For most of the stuff that the anime does cover, it looks pretty awesome. I really didn't mind the occasional change here and there. Still, you might want to read the manga just to get the full story, the full details. I will say that after finishing season 1 and 2, I've been converted. I will be reading the entire manga, hopefully really soon. Next up, getting to the opening and ending. For the first opening, I now do more appreciate the more stylish choice going stop motion. It is perhaps one of the most unique anime openings that is out there. The actual opening reminds me of how I feel about the Kaguya-sama Season 1 opening or the Attack on Titan Season 3 opening. Don't get me wrong, the actual music, the song is fine, no issues there, yet it's not something I exactly want to see before the actual anime episode. I don't know, but it feels like something I'd rather just see standalone. For the first ending, honestly I don't recall it. Skipped it cause Netflix. On the other hand, for Beastars, the season 2 opening and ending, I absolutely loved them. The sound and vibe from the opening reminded me of something out of Re:Zero, which I think is really fitting for Legoshi. The visuals for season 2 had more of what I would love in an anime opening. Hell, I might even do a breakdown for it. So after falling in love with Beastars, I don't have issues but nitpicks remaining. Let me first mention the murder mystery, which is really a focus for season 2. No surprise, the anime spent a good amount of time with an obvious misdirect, or two. For the conclusion of who done it, I was like, huh? Beastars really doesn't give you a mystery that you could realistically piece together from the clues, or part from this wild ass guess. To be fair, perhaps that wasn't the intention. That said, you actually do get a pretty unique villain out of this. It's almost confusing. Are they in the wrong? Is it fine given the rules of this world and the logics that animals follow? I do appreciate how the anime doesn't hold your hand on this and ultimately lets you decide. Even by the end of season 2, partly due to season 2 kind of just stopping, I'm not sure how I ultimately feel. I am betting it's going to be a running theme in the next arc to come. Next nitpick, Haru. I do wish there was more of her, especially knowing what they cut out from the manga. The first time watching, I do recall thinking Haru was a more interesting character, and maybe if they had more of her, I would have enjoyed the anime more. I do feel the anime did drop the ball displaying Haru's mental state near the beginning. I could instantly see why one of my buddies that's a hardcore manga fan was put off by this. Fast forward to season 2, she's more or less become less of a focus and become closer to a side character. To be fair, I don't know if this little bunny girl had more scenes in the manga, or whether she's really just being set up to be this main player back in the future arcs, which means more incentive to hit up the manga. Next nitpick, the power-up looking thing that looks straight out of a battle shonen. It reminded me of one of those Kabaneri zombies or the Eva going berserk. Visuals aside, I don't think this thing was explained very well. Obviously, it is Legoshi getting that instinct boost, but it really just gave me more questions, a head scratcher. Why is it only him? Do all animals have this, potentially? How about the deer? I was just waiting for a squirrel girl to get juiced up. Thankfully, the manga info more or less answered my questions on this. As for the world building, specifically wanting to see more of the city, more stuff outside of the school, I did like the job the animators did showing you the functions in the school, especially with the different sized animals, or like the stuff they ate. On the flip side, then they went to the city. I mean, it's pretty much standardized Japan. In my head, I still think Zootopia and BNA did a better job showing off their animal cities. Perhaps it's another manga detail that got cut due to time. As for the 2D animation or 2D style directing, I'm not sure whether I should count this as a negative or actually praise the anime. In other words, at times admitting this could be done better with 2D animation. So let's do it. On the flip side, for something that just took me completely out, were the split scenes commonly seen in season 1 where you have two characters on screen. You see this all the time in anime, although for a 3D anime, it just seemed awkward at first. I think for season 2 I either got used to it or they didn't far less. But anyway, my final thoughts on Beastars season 2 and Beastars overall. With the story how it's set up, it does seem like it's meant for you to watch the 24 episodes together. Thankfully now you can. I really can't recommend this anime enough. If you're still put off by the animals, please try to put that aside. Even if you hate CG anime, the story will still win you over. For 2021, I do think Beastars Season 2 will be some people's anime of the year. Right now for me, easily, no hesitation, it's in my top 10 anime for this year. So far, maybe even top 5. We'll see where it ends up, there's still summer and fall to go. Taking a step back, this really just makes me wonder, what are some other anime you hated, but that might actually be good? How about X-Arm? Oh hell no. But anyway, let me know if you love Beastars 2, or if this video convinced you to watch it now. Check out my recent video going over the issues over at Netflix and MAPPA. For some strange reason, YouTube suppressed that for exactly 4 hours. Don't miss what's up with Chainsaw Man, and I'll see you guys later.